Hello everyone, it's Jessica here with another layout for Shimmerz paints. As usual, you can use my name Jessica in the notes section of your order for a free gift. I am pulling out a thick sheet of cardstock by Park Lane. I think it's 160-pound paper, if I remember right, and just applied some clear Finnabair gesso there with my palette knife. And then I am pulling out the Pebbles Fun in the Sun collection. This has been one of my favorite summery collections to work with, along with my absolute favorite striped black and white paper by 49 and Market. And I'm just ripping sections of these papers and just layering them at the top of my layout. That's going to start my layout there, and then I'm going to add some mixed media with some Shimmerz paints below it. So I've got my papers there. I just ripped them and taped them together, and then I'm just going to rough up these edges just for a little bit more pop, and then I'll start on my mixed media. As you can see, I have a cut file also by Shimmerz. It's in the Shimmerz shop of those little sunglasses that I just pulled off my screen there. And I'm just going to start my mixed media at this point. I start with my pot of Shimmerz in Pip Pip Cherry O, and I am just watering down my layout here and just spreading some of that color on there with my paintbrush, adding a little bit more water with my water bottle, and then I used the spritz of the Vibes and Mango Tango, which is honestly very quickly becoming one of my absolute favorite colors. That color is just gorgeous. It's like an orangish pink, and it is just such a pretty pop of color. I wish it would have stayed exactly how it looks right here, where they're kind of not blended together so much, but of course mixed media doesn't always stay exactly the way that you want it to. So in order to kind of control and contain this here, I'm using my heat tool to dry this mixed media up quickly, so that hopefully it retains those colors and they kind of stay a little bit separated. But the gesso itself allows for a lot of blendability, and it also helps prep your paper to hold up to all of these heavy wet mediums. So I'm kind of drying these up as I go here, trying to keep these colors kind of separated, but pulling in all of these beautiful colors. I'm also blending some of it together. I know it's a bit of a mishmash of things here today, but I've got this Bumbly bee color that I'm using for that yellow, and I think I added two yellows. I think I used a sunny yellow too, but I'm just adding a little bit more of that Vibes there, as you can see, spreading it around with my paintbrush and some water, just drying up the larger pools because I just love the way that those colors look together. And then I just try to soften up the edges a little bit by just adding a little bit more water on the edges and dabbing up all of those pools. I've got this other yellow here. I think this one's the Sunny. It's either, I think I started with Sunny and then I switched over to Bumbly Bee to add a little bit more pop of yellow. And it's going to dry a little bit lighter, so that's something you want to kind of keep in mind too. It may look like it's very, very vibrant and kind of in your face when you first start, but it's going to dry and be a little bit lighter and more shimmery. So I really like how this is coming together at this point. It's really about just adding layers and getting it to where you like the way that it looks. And sometimes when you first start out, you won't like it and it'll just kind of look like one big blob. But then you start adding all of your embellishments and things to it, and it really brings everything together. So here's my little cut file. I've got these sunglasses. I don't want to cover up all of my mixed media with it, so I kind of debated on even using it and if it was too big or not, but in the end I do end up using it. I just pull it back in a second. I'm going to go ahead and add some white acrylic paint for some additional splattering here. The white acrylic paint I just like to use to kind of break up that mixed media and add a little pop on the pattern paper if it's dark like this, and it just helps kind of create a nice little marbling effect on the mixed media. It'll marble a lot better and kind of blend a lot better if the mixed media is still wet, and then if it's dry like it is here or pretty dry, then it will just kind of sit on top of that mixed media like this. I added some bigger drops, as you can see, by using a little bit bit more water in my paintbrush and just kind of squishing it off of there. And then my cut file is coming back in now. I'm going to add some vellum. This is something that I've been doing a lot lately. I love adding vellum to my layouts and to cut files in particular. So I'm going to use the vellum for the little shade pieces in my sunglasses. Now, of course, these are sunglasses. They should have some darker shades or like maybe some foil or something like that, but I didn't want to cover up that mixed media, and I know that's pretty much where these shades need to land on this layout because they're fairly large, and I've got 2 photos that I'm going to use today. Now, a lot of times I would tuck my photos into these shades in the little windows, but I'm not doing that today. I just really like the way that they looked as they were. So I didn't do anything fancy or particular to the cut file itself. I did want to pull in some splatters in that beautiful mango tango color, so I've just added little splatters there, and I'm just quickly drying them up just to add a little pop of color, but I didn't want them super bold, so I just quickly dried them up. I've got this stamp set by Concord and Ninth called Spectacular Shades, and I just thought it would look really cool, almost like a stencil if I just did a bunch of stamping here. And I'm not re-inking between each stamp just to get some dimension in that color of my little stamps. So aren't they so cute? I think that really adds just the pop of something that I was looking for, along with the gold shimmer that I added with my splatters of Inklings in Minor 49er. That's one of my favorite golds that Shimmerz makes, and I use that one so much. My actual pot of it right now is completely empty, and I need to open a new one, but I'm kind of sucking up the rest of that pot and using it to its fullest. I've got some tissue paper here that actually came in the mail wrapped in my in one of my orders from Color Rush Studio, and I'm just going to use that to back my photo. I've got these 2 photos here that I'm using today of myself and my baby girl during one of our beach adventures, and I am just backing it with some white cardstock first, and then this tissue paper. Then I'm going to grab a bunch of papers from this Fun in the Sun collection by Pebbles. I think I'm going to pull out the smaller paper pad for it. Yeah, here's the small paper pad, and I'm just going to use kind of scraps of what I have in here, maybe a couple full sheets, but I usually try to use my scraps up when I can. So layering photos like this is a great way to use up some of those scraps. And this one, I just really wanted a pop of this orange, so I'm just using one of the full sheets in here and then just roughing up the edges. I'm going to continue building up these layers, but I'm actually going to end up cutting this photo strip apart and placing my shades in the middle because it's really the only way that I could fit everything in that I wanted to put on this layout. So I'm going to end up cutting these apart after I get them all layered up, but you'll see how I fix that and what I do, and all I really do is just add another layer in between them just to make it look like it was intentional. So I've got my shades here. I'm trying to work around them to see if it would look okay to just put my photo strip on top, but I didn't want to cover them up too much and then just kind of lose the feeling of them being sunglasses and not really knowing what they were if I covered them up. So I also was battling the mixed media. I really wanted all of that to shine through. I wanted to show as much of that as possible, and I really wanted to stick my photo there, but it just wasn't working out and not fitting. So here's where I sliced it apart, and I ended up grabbing that same orange background piece, and I'm just going to use a little section of this to map my photos and have this peeking out in the middle, and that's actually where I end up dropping my title piece as well. So this layout is actually pairing up with another series that I do with a couple friends of mine called Acrylic Stash Busting. We do that a couple times a month, usually on the 18th and 28th when I get a chance to play along with it. And I'm actually pairing this up, busting some acrylic stash. So I'm going to grab a color cast acrylic piece to use as my title on this one, and I will drop that title right in the middle here on top of my sunglasses. So that orange piece that I put behind my photos and in that middle section there is kind of an anchor point for my title here. So it just works out perfectly now. You can still see my mixed media poking through. I covered up a little bit more of it than I would have liked, but I think it ends up working out just fine. And then I've pulled out some of these 49 and Market embellishments. These are just so pretty, and I really love the colors in it, and I think they matched pretty well with my layout and what I had going on here, and just wanted some little summery florals. So I'm just adding a few of these to my layout, and then I'm also going to pull out some florals by Coco Vanilla Studio. And then I have this little border strip here from a Hey Little Magpie border that I just ran through my Big Shot machine with one of the small papers in that paper pad that I was using, just to add a little scallop here on the left side of my photo strip. I love scalloped edges and adding those little border pieces to my layouts. I just think it makes it look so cute and finished, and it's one of my favorite things. So I've added that, and then here's those Coco Vanilla Studio florals. I'm just going to add a few of these. I'm not going to get too crazy about embellishing because I've got a lot going on this one already. I just want to add a few of these flowers and get my title piece anchored down. This little popsicle I put on here because it was just hanging out in my Ziploc. I keep all my collections in 12 by 12 Ziploc bags, or they're probably a little bit bigger than that, but I keep them all together in those large Ziploc bags, and that little popsicle was just kind of floating around in there, so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to use that on this layout. It'll go perfect. We did actually have some cool treats that day, so it worked out really well. And then I'm just using my Nuvo glue here to just start securing everything down to my page. I didn't want to move everything around to lift up that photo strip to glue it down, so I just popped a little bit of that Nuvo glue behind my photos. And it's really a good idea to use something like that, like a liquid type of glue, when you're doing mixed media like this, because sometimes if you use a tape runner, it doesn't really like to stick to mixed media very well. So I find that using that Nuvo glue or something similar really helps to adhere all of the elements down to your page. And then my title piece here, I'm using that same glue. I find that it works really, really well for acrylic pieces, so I know that's not going to go anywhere. I've got that cute little watermelon. It's fabric. It's actually from an older Not Just for Boys Kit Club kit, and I just think it's super sweet. Her little swimsuit has watermelons on it, so I thought that would be just perfect to use on this. And a couple of these little stickers from the sticker sheet in that Fun in the Sun collection. And then here, I'm just going to grab some wax twine that I got from Amazon in a big set, and I'm just going to thread that through my tag at the top and let these kind of dangle, but I am going to secure the top down with some staples just so they're not all over the place. And then I'm just going to tuck these tails down in that cut file. I'm also going to grab some orange colored thread and just kind of twirl some of that around and add in a couple places in this layout. And I felt like I needed a few little flowers tucked into this layered piece over here. So I'm just going to add a couple here, and I'm going to pop up that bigger one with some 3D foam squares. I really love adding dimensional elements to my layouts. I think it just makes them look super cute and just adds a little bit more interest. So I'm going to add that there. And then my watermelon, I was kind of playing around with where I wanted it to go, but I did settle on adding it by the title piece, and I kept it there. And basically, I'm just kind of going through my stash here and seeing what else I want to add. I loved these little butterflies. I thought they were super sweet. This day in particular, she was actually chasing a butterfly, so I have some photos of her chasing this butterfly all over the beach, and I'll probably be pulling out more of these butterflies to use on that layout too. But I gotta find those photos. They're in my I think these photos were from July, so I gotta go back and get those photos out to do that layout while I'm thinking about it. I've got some puffy stickers here. These are from Citrus Twist Kits. I've just got a lot of mishmash of things that I'm pulling and using. I really love doing that lately and mixing collections and colors together and creating something totally unique. I also love sticking with a specific collection when I'm crafting. It just makes it very easy for me to build my layouts and layers and everything. But I just, from time to time, I like to collection mix as well and kind of do some stash busting. So there's that orange thread that I was talking about. I am just adding some of this in a couple places here. I'm just tucking it in, just kind of bunching it up in my hand, and then using some Nuvo glue and just securing it to a couple spots in my layout just to add a little bit more texture. I love this little orange looking butterfly. I'm going to add that guy right in here just to give that a little pop of color beside her little cute face. And let's see what else. Just some more splatters in that Mango Tango. I found that I covered most of them up whenever I embellished, so I wanted to add a few more. And then here I'm just adding a few more little gold splatters as well. Same thing, I added some splatters earlier to the top section, but I ended up covering a lot of those up, so I'm just adding them quickly and then drying them up with my paper towel. So here's the finished layout. I love this one. I cannot wait to get this one tucked away in my book with all my other cute summery layouts. Hope you guys enjoyed this process and learned something today, and I hope I've inspired you to create something beautiful. Have a great day, guys, and remember, if you place an order, to use my name Jessica in the notes section of your order for a free gift. Have a great day. Bye-bye.